Well, happy Monday, everybody, unless you're a fan of the Detroit Lions. Tough one last night in Philadelphia against the Eagles, a game that I think the Lions could have had. Their defense played great. Obviously, when you give up 16 points, their defense did the job. It wasn't one of Jared Goff's best games, and that's probably an understatement. And one has to wonder, love Dan Campbell, love his aggressiveness. You know, he's a genius when it works, but when you're 0 for 4 or 0 for 5 on fourth down, 3 out of 18 or 3 out of 19 or something ridiculous like that on third and fourth down, maybe it's time to start thinking about that mentality a little bit. When your defense is playing good, maybe punt and hold them deep or something, or 3 points. I know it sounds like a consolation sometimes, but those add up. And so the Lions just was one of those nights that just couldn't get it done. When they had opportunities, they shot themselves in the foot. You know, and it's not to worry, though. Relax. The Lions, they've got a winnable stretch of games coming up. Green Bay doesn't scare me. They could barely beat the Giants. The Giants, that's who the Lions have next weekend in Detroit. Winnable game. Dallas, do they scare you? They get to come to Ford Field. 3 straight. They get to 9-4 after that. Then everybody will relax. It'll be just fine. The Lions are still knee-deep in the playoff picture. I still think they've got a good shot at winning the division. Minnesota does not look that formidable with J.J. McCarthy at the helm. So relax, Lions fans. It's not over yet. 6-4. I know it's not maybe where you want to be. Everybody wants to be 9-1 or 10-0. We've been spoiled the last couple of years with some really good starts. 6-4 right now is not that bad. These last 3 games in November are very winnable, and then the first one in December before they go to the Rams. Then they've got Pittsburgh at home. And again, 1 out of the last 2, that'll get them to 10 or 11 wins, and that'll be more than enough to get a playoff spot and potentially win that division. One thing, though, that is really starting to bother me about the Detroit Lions, and that's Jameson Williams. Now, he got his extension, so we might be stuck with him for a while. But what he did last night is another in the latest episodes where he just doesn't think, and he's hurting the team. Off the field, on the field. I know he makes great plays, but then he makes boneheaded mistakes, and he continues to get away with it. And one wonders, with the message that Dan Campbell sends about toughness and discipline and accountability, it seems like Jamo gets chance after chance, time after time. And I, for one, am sick of it. You know, I'm done with it. I'm done with the showboating attitude and the just, you know, it cost him 15 yards, cost him that extra point. That was part of the reason. You saw him on the sideline rolling his eyes after the fact. I'm tired of his antics. Maybe I'm old school, but he's cost us on the field and off the field with his gambling stuff, everything else. I don't know if he's worth the money. I don't know if he's worth the contract. I don't know if they get him in the offense enough to be worth it. And then he pulls this stuff and he continues to get a free ride. One wonders in the locker room how this sits. And after a while, his antics are getting old. With the message that they send in Detroit, supposedly, you know, enough is enough. Hopefully this is it. I'll believe it when I see it. But again, as I said, the message that Dan Campbell preaches about attitude, about discipline, about accountability, stop making the mistakes, and he continues to do this. How much of a leash is he going to get before maybe it starts to fracture the locker room a little bit? I don't know. I for one, I'm tired of Jamo's antics myself. So, well, again, next week they've got New York, a good chance for Detroit to right the ship.